Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Wonders podcast. It's your boy Esteban, also known as Estical, and today I'm here with my friends.
James, also known as Bob Trees. What's up?
And Nicholas Retro underscore Lunas. What's up, bro?
All right, what's going on, guys? All right, so today we have a lot to talk about today, but the biggest thing, arguably one of the biggest things going on in the world right now, is the ban on TikTok. So I don't know if you guys have heard anything about it, but it's basically TikTok has been at war with basically like the government for about a year now about China. They have the company that owns TikTok is a Chinese-based company, but and the United States doesn't, agree with a Chinese company owning a company that collects as much data as it has, especially because they don't have access to that data. So right now they're trying to pass a bill to ban TikTok, and it actually just got passed. And right now, TikTok has roughly about a year until they get permanently banned in the United States, unless they sell their company, their parent company, and sell the rights to TikTok to a US based company. What do you guys think about that?
That's wild.
Yeah, it is.
Personally, I see where they're coming from due to the so-called cybersecurity issues or whatnot, because it is a Chinese-based app. Like, I remember the last president decided to ban the Chinese telecom companies. So that's why you don't see on US oil Huawei phones or other Chinese branded phones like that or technology. And I think they're trying to do the same, but because TikTok is like such a big part of the internet now, I think they're going with the instead of just banning it outright, they want the force to sell off to an American company. And you could see it under the same light as I don't want the Chinese to spy on me. I want AT&T or the government to spy on me. Deal.
See, and that's where I fall under. Like, it's like I get it, to not want, to know where your data is going, but at the same time, I also disagree with what they're trying to do because it's like the United States. It basically just feels like they're like, okay, we don't have control of this and we don't have access to this data, so we're gonna ban you because we don't control you. We don't have limitations on your app, similar to like how they have limitations on Facebook and like all these other social media networks that kind of go through the government and are like all the information goes through them. So TikTok has always refused that, and they've always refused interference from any government. At least that's what they've been pushing during these court hearings that they've had about it. And you have the head of TikTok, the CEO of TikTok, saying that they don't want any influence from any government, that they just want it to be an app for the people, by the people. And I can see how this is personally. I see it as a little bit of censorship because what this app does, it tells us about topics and like introduces us to things that we normally might not hear about in other social media platforms because that's regulated and this isn't. So I do think it's a little bit of a censorship issue.
Got you. And James, do you use TikTok a lot?
Yeah, so I use it every day, of course. I'm a little ashamed to say I've heard a news segment, I think it was like NPR or something like that, where the concern is like not on the current data sharing. It's because the parent company is Chinese. If the Chinese government asks them for data from TikTok, they would be forced to like hand it over, which is where the whole idea of them like banning it in the US came from. I also agree. I can see their point. Like you said earlier, like you can see both sides. It's both sides of the same coin. I do agree that it's also so many people. I think it's like half the monthly users or maybe more that YouTube has every month. And you can go through it a lot faster than you can YouTube videos. So it's a big source of information. And it's like for a lot of people, it's like their news source. That's like where they get their news from. So I think just outright getting rid of it is a bad idea for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. Imagine the next thing that's going to take over. Because I remember we had Vine, which was like the precursor. And then it was like Musically. And then TikTok became like the thing.
Wasn't that one like the pedophile one?
No, I'm not sure which one you're referring to.
Musically, I thought that was like its whole like
Oh, yeah.
controversy.
Musically is, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't
The-
talk about that one.
Okay.
the only thing I knew about Musically is that it was a music oriented video sharing.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like you always the whole point is that you would go and like dance and like lip sync, and that's all you could
Mhm.
do. And then they turned it into TikTok, or I don't know what happened to Musically. Maybe it was like Lawbreakers or some shit.
They turned into TikTok. Like it is like actually the same thing. They just rebranded it.
Gotcha.
And it's also like there's been rumors of TikTok, like the owners of TikTok, if it gets banned, starting a new application like similar to the like because it's been leaning more towards photos and that kind of content. Like just like I feel like it's gonna be a never-ending cycle. Even if it gets banned, it's just gonna keep happening, and they're just gonna keep getting banned and keep getting banned until they like maybe regulate something or I don't know. I don't know how this is gonna play out, but I just feel this company and like the name that is the image that is created is so big that everyone is just it's gonna have for sure a following. Like no matter what happens, it's gonna have people who are dedicated to it and then are always gonna go to the next thing, regardless if
I think given like a lot of the fads and the trends, like that IRL AI people, that it's give me a hot dog, like they'll drop a hot dog in the
oh, that's
chat,
so bad.
and like I feel and like other people have really established themselves within the platform, and it seems like for the most part, like TikTok is where they get the most of their income from, and so I think it's definitely gonna affect a lot of people.
100%.
Yeah, I do, I do think that even if TikTok is gone, I'm sure Facebook is just gonna do. Sorry, what is Facebook called
Meta.
now? Yeah,
Meta.
Meta is just gonna make Instagram, which is like Instagram, or make Facebook, which is now like an IRL, like Hydra, where it's gonna chop off a head, and then another app is gonna spawn in, or another segment of Instagram, where it's gonna be exactly like TikTok. Like we already have like Instagram Reels, and then now we have Instagram Threads, which is basically the Twitter replacement. And then I don't know
Jesse Eisenberg is going crazy.
exactly. And then also, I mean, Snapchat exists, but people only use Snapchat to cheat on their girlfriend or some shit, or buy drugs. But yeah. Is there any final thoughts, man? Anything else to expand on this?
I would say it's gonna be interesting to see as it approaches the deadline to see what happens if the company ByteDance ends up getting bought out or if TikTok gets sold to a different company, like how that's gonna work out, if it's still gonna be alive or if they're gonna stand on their grounds. And they even said they're like, oh, like if we would rather the app shut down than sell, which is just crazy, by the way. Like for a company to say that,
Pretty base.
bro,
That must
yeah,
be a bluff. No way.
yeah, they literally said that. Like ByteDance, literally, the company literally said, we would rather get shut down than sell TikTok. And it's just like, bro, like I've been essentially on their side, right? But saying that, bro, that just makes you look sketchy. Like that just makes you look like you're hiding something. Like why would you say that?
True. And
I feel like that was weird. That was unnecessary.
I get that. And according to Routers, the US accounted for about 25% of TikTok's overall revenues last year, said a separate source with a direct knowledge. So, although, yes, we make 1/4 of TikTok's revenue, the majority of the money it makes is in China. And given its population size, I would, even if it would be kind of a hit for the company, but it's not like it's gonna go under anytime soon. Like, I think the only time that they would be leveraged into actually selling, if they're like gonna stick to their guns, would be if like the United States made up more than 50% of that company's revenue, because money speaks at the end of the day in these type of things. And so if they're willing to take that 25% shortfall, they're probably just gonna try to push TikTok further in other regions around the world. Fuck, they could just be like, yo, Canadians, TikTok, I'm our fellas. Some shit like that. But yeah, hey man, TikTok, come and goes maybe.
Any last thoughts, James?
Yeah. I want to see dancing women still keep TikTok in the US.
That's wild.
I meant funny cat and dog videos is what I meant.
All right. That was wild. Okay. All right. Speaking about like how TikTok was, a really popular app. Right? Another popular app that just came to iPhone is the first ever emulator that was passed through the Apple Store, which is called Delta. So, what do you guys think about that? Do you guys have iPhones?
No.
Fuck no.
I'm not saying. I know Nicholas does it, but I'm pretty sure
No, I
you don't
don't.
either, James. Damn.
No,
Okay, so
I
I'm the only
don't.
one. I'll take the lead on this. Basically, it's like a first ever thing. I know Android has had this for literally forever. Emulators have been like huge on Androids forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is like the first time that Apple has been able to do this because it has really strict like guidelines for copyrights and like all these things. So it was really surprising. This kind of came out of nowhere. And it's like this app Delta that lets people play like Game Boy games, NES games, Sega Genesis games, NES games, Nintendo 64 games, and Nintendo DS games. And it's pretty cool. I was playing around with it for a bit, and then I was doing a playthrough of my all-time favorite video game, Spider-Man from I think 2000, which I prefer it more on the PS1, but I was playing it like the Game Boy Advance version, and then I made it pretty far in, and then it just deleted my save, so then I deleted
What?
the app. That's my experience with it, but
Wow. Oh, well.
yeah, pretty well. But my girl
Random.
loves it. She's been on the 10 dogs. She loves it.
Oh my gosh.
It's to each their own. But yeah, after that, it just killed the hype for me.
I think it's a great thing to see more Android like commonplace things make their way to iPhone. It's whenever I see like this kind of stuff news, it's the United States already like planted their flag on the moon, but then you see some like second or third world country do it like this time when they try to pull like a Neil Armstrong. Look, guys, we did it. It's just it's hopefully that a lot more games come to it. According to IGN, other things that Delta supports is stuff from the NES, Sega Genesis, SNES, N64, and even a Nintendo DS, which you were referring to with Nintendogs. I think the developer Riley Testut said that according to IGN, that it would support more emulators on the App Store listing, but they didn't specify which emulators exactly. So I guess like we might be getting like PSP stuff, and so you could play GTA 4 or 3 on the PSP. That'd be funny.
I hope so. I still have my PSP, like the original, like the fat PSP. I still have it.
I have mine
I love
too.
it.
I love that thing.
Goated. Literally amazing. I've never given it.
Yes, I also have mine, but my battery, I think if I poke it enough, it'll explode.
Oh, mine's super pressurized too. Yeah, mine's the same way.
Like it has
Really?
it's like a giant bubble.
What the hell? Oh, well, mine is okay.
Yeah,
So I was shooting on the battery for a while.
so if I'm gonna plug that bitch in, I gotta put it in the charger forever.
I think I just need to buy a new charger cable.
I'll
But
put
I mean,
power
like,
into that battery if it's expanded, dude. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you don't use it, man. You just hit pop it. Oh yeah, some with the Nintendo's strict guidelines and what Nintendo has done in the past, it's crazy to see such an app remain alive for this long. And who knows what the litigation's gonna be like, but because they're pretty crazy, and Nintendo has barracks filled with lawyers. I feel like similar to having like, a small country's army. And IGN also said that when it came to other emulators such as Yuzu, due to Nintendo threats of being sued, like it's a shame to see that happen. And then you also have the creators behind the GameCube and the Wii emulator called Dolphin announced last year that it was gonna give up putting the emulator on Steam. It revealed that Valve received a legal threat from Nintendo as well. There's been many things that Nintendo has done, of course, like that are scummy, especially like all the fan-made like tournaments. The Smash Brothers stuff, I think, was insane. And then, of course, I guess like the reselling of games, I think, is even cutthroat for Nintendo.
They just got rid of all the Gmod workshop Nintendo stuff, anything like that.
Oh
That was
yeah,
a big
that's
thing for
right.
me growing up.
Yeah, you know what's funny though? At first, it wasn't like a real thing, and then Nintendo's like, yeah, ditto, and then Steam had to pull all that shit off. So, but yeah, I mean, Esteban, what do you see? What do you think? What do you think the future is looking like for this emulator on your phone?
I think this is the first of many. Like what you were saying, like I feel like it's gonna eventually go into different consoles, and the capability of our phones nowadays it's crazy. It's literally a mini computer in our pockets. So I think that eventually we'll see PS1, PS2 emulators, that kind of thing. And I hope they do that, I hope they continue to find a way around, all the legalities of it and avoid lawsuits and stuff like that. Just cause like, I don't know, it's fun to be able to play all your old games. Cause like me personally, I have some of my old consoles, but I want to play some of the games that I used to have, but it's still so expensive to buy a retro console. So it's easier to just do an emulator.
Yeah, of course.
And especially if you're like we talked about here before, you're always at risk of losing access to stuff and access to games. So being able to have access to it whenever is just why wouldn't you jump at the opportunity to do that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think we should open up the conversation further with the idea of, whether we should like the conservation of like peripherals or, slash video games, or should we let games fade into the ether, or should they be preserved? I'm a firm believer that although it isn't like Smithsonian level shit, I still believe that video games have played a very important and significant role in how the culture, or whatever you want to call culture, in the United States and other developed countries has played in. Because you have the original Pong and stuff like that, and then later on with fighting games coming out, you had the arcade cabinets and how that popularized the genre further, and then from the cabinet to the home system, and then you had several brands, which came from, you had Atari, Sega, Sony, and then later Atari and Sony hang up they closed shop, and then Microsoft came in, and then of course there's been many games, and there's also been many like classic collections being re-released over the course of many years. I feel not only being able for these people to cash in on those old games, but also be able to visit for those games. Those games are able to, not only are they a quick cash grab for these companies, but they're also allow for the preservation of these games and for that history to be enjoyed by newcomers. What's your take on that? Like on conservation?
No, you're totally right. Especially if it's like Nintendo, where once they shut down servers for one of their consoles, like the games are just gone unless you have a physical copy, and that's it.
True. Yeah, I think because on the last episode we talked about the same thing with Ubisoft pulling its server, the Crew, like the game called The Crew, the servers for that game.
I remember that.
Yeah, and we, like I think with such, I guess with, I don't know, like I believe that there can be more to be done for these games to continue, especially like because if these games are always online or live service, I think they should at least allow for people to host their own servers, or make that a service on their own, because a lot of these games, a lot of people had invested a lot of real like man hours in. And like, for example, I have about 130 something hours on Fallout 76 on PC. And then Bethesda can just be like, you know what, guys, we broke. And then they just they stop, supporting that game, and they pull the servers. It's all that stuff I put in, all that money that got translated into like atoms, which is that game's in-game currency, is also lost. Like, well, Esa, what do you think, man?
So I'm a big, like I said, I have a lot of my old consoles. I have like my OG Wii, I got my 360. I am all for console preservation, keeping them alive. And like we had talked about previously with the servers shutting down and stuff, and then games losing their support. I feel like these games should always have that, because it's just the way I look at it is like little time capsules. Like it's the same way like different media, like movies, those are time capsules for that era. You don't like, it's a certain like aesthetic or like different characteristics that are like special to that time. And I feel like that's the same thing with games. It could tell a story. It could be really important to a certain time period. And like, I feel like, I don't know. I don't like to see media just die and disappear. Like I said, I have all my physical games, like my 360 games and all that. I have all those. I got my OG at PSP. I live for old consoles. And like, I eventually want to get like a PS2, a PS1, and get all those old games. They are hella expensive now, and that's the only bad thing. But I feel like there's nothing like the classics, and I love going back and just playing a game that I used to play as a kid. Games like Shadow the Hedgehog, games like the Ultimate Spider-Man, just games like that. You just don't get that with today's games. So I love just going back and then preserving that memory in time.
Yeah, I miss the days when games came out in finished states and not 1% of the way done, and then they don't actually finish development.
With live servers. Yeah, I knew I played it because I was able to rent it from the video store, which to the younger audience doesn't know. It's a physical place where you go and rent a movie, and like you're checking it out at the library, but you pay a fee. But instead of being a movie, it was a video game, which is pretty mind blowing to me. So
just age.
So I gotta keep the audience educated, bro. With that being said, I was able to rent, because what is it? Marvel Ultimate Alliance for the PSP.
Goated game.
Dude, ultra goated. And I like that. I borrowed a friend's copy for the PS, or it was for the PS3 for the Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. And I just haven't been able to procure those games personally ever. And I think it's such a shame that the company behind, maybe it's like licensing as well, which makes sense for the redistribution of games. But I firmly believe that used games are like the bread and butter. And I have to call back for the movies. You always see movies being re-released, and people can go and rewatch them and enjoy them. Which like they just re-released all of the original Spider-Man movies featuring Tobey Maguire, which we're going to expand on later in the episode. And they sold well. They did great. And so companies could also do the same thing, or they could even have like subscription models where you could play like their own, like the Ubisoft classic library.
Nintendo kind of has that on the Switch. Don't they have like a classic game library that you can play?
I believe so. Yeah.
I think so.
With like Nintendo First or Nintendo Plus,
Yeah,
or whatever
yeah.
or Nintendo Live or whatever the fuck is it
We
called?
kind of have it, but it's not physical copies that you can have. It's a copy that they can pull at any point in time, and that's it.
Yeah. Would I buy newer games nowadays? Is it kind of another thing? Which is, cause see, I would love to buy games physically, but unlike before, where like mostly all games were like physical, and there was an incentive to buy them physically because of they have like midnight launches, pre-order bonuses and shit like that. Those things really incentivized me to really buy those games. And especially with like, depending on if you're playing on console, like the exclusives were also really nice to snag physically. But if I'm buying a game physically nowadays, I'm probably just gonna buy not every game, but those games that like I really, really fuck with. I did that with Dead Space. I pre-ordered the collector's edition, and Dead Space, the remake was great through and through. And I felt like buying the collector's edition for the price that I paid for was valid. And the same thing I could apply for the Cyberpunk 2077 collector's edition. I have the Uncharted 4 collector's edition. And off the top of my head, last but not least, I have the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, which
I
comes
don't know why I thought you were talking about. I don't know why I thought you were talking about like the OG one. I was like, bro, that used to be my game.
the 1 and 2 remake. Yeah, it comes with a board and like a real wooden deck.
Oh, that's cool.
From Birdhouse, yeah.
Really? What the hell? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's
Send me a picture of that.
I will.
I got the City Skylines 2 collector's edition. Biggest fucking mistake of my life.
What did it come?
It was supposed to come with like some DLCs and like some cool radio channels that I thought were cool, and then it was like it's like the most downvoted thing on Steam like of all time right now, or at least it was. So my mistake. Live and learn.
That's all good, bro. I pre-ordered No Man's Sky.
Oh shit.
Been there. Oh, and Anthem.
Oh wow, that is rough.
Yeah, at least I didn't get Evolved though. Good, although cool game.
Nah, Bob was goated.
Oh.
Oh my god, what a good game.
Oh god, yeah, and they got killed off by.
And then I got killed off. Yeah.
Yeah, but what is it? That was before Overwatch. There was some other game that was like Overwatch. There was. It's not Lawbreakers. Fuck, dude. I don't remember which game I'm talking about though, right? Like it was like a hero shooter, like TF2, but it wasn't Overwatch. It was something before it. And then the first Overwatch came out and it killed that game entirely. Battleborn.
No idea.
Yeah, so it's like that, yeah. But yeah, I would love to see eventually. It would be really badass to see like private efforts to conserve more games overall, and like even dedicate like museums for this thing, because we have the advancement of like space travel and technology in that sense in the Smithsonian. So and then with video games becoming more and more advanced, I think it is how do I say it? I don't think it's appropriate to just let these things fade into nothingness. Just like how we, preserved like Macintosh, like we have those computers are in museums. So I believe a PS1 and what some people regard as the best console of all time, which is a PlayStation 2, to be like in a museum. I think it'd be really cool to see that, especially if there was like a museum for video games. Dude, I pay to do it. I pay to go.
I would do that. I would go to that for sure.
Yeah. And with more games and new innovations within the gaming industry, and with new peripherals coming out, that museum is always going to be chock full of stuff that they could always rotate. Imagine if they added like the Guitar Hero controllers and the peripherals for that, and then the Tony Hawk peripherals for the Wii, which are garbage, but they were still a thing.
Bro, I still have my Guitar Hero guitar.
There you go.
I
Oh
like
yeah.
I had bought it on about a used copy on the 360 a couple years back, probably like 6 years ago. And then now they have something on an emulator. Going back to what we were talking about emulators, they have one on PC called Clone Hero, and you can like import all these different like playlists and set lists, and you could use your guitar. So I always plug in my guitar and I just play on my laptop. Like it's so cool.
I love my PSP. You love your PSP, but no one's a big fan of Sony right now. They make good consoles, but fuck. They really screwed over all of us with Helldivers. At least we can sign up for a PSN account if we want to. I think, oh god, the US you can sign up for PSN accounts, right? I actually didn't look this up.
Oh.
Yeah, we can make them here. But if you can't make a PSN account, you can't play Helldivers 2. I think that Steam's giving out refunds right now for people in like regions that are going to be like locked if for the regions that you can't get a PSN account. But I don't know. Selling a product for what, 6 months and then all of a sudden being like, yeah, by the way, you have to have a PlayStation account. And if you can't make one, you can't play. And that's that.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
I think it's so funny because we've been so critical, and like in the beginning, we were praising this game for all the things they were able to do. Like, for example, releasing a game at $40 instead of 70.
Mhm.
That was insane. Being able to grind out in-game currency at a good rate instead of having to pull like an 8-hour shift on fucking
Mhm.
Malevelon Creek just to farm like 100 in-game currency points or whatever. And then slowly the game's just been being eroded by the most dumbass, terrible decisions that the developers are making. And then
No. To clarify, it's not the developers. It's Sony, the publisher, that's making the changes everybody hates. The developers are the good guys.
okay,
The developers are also like nerfing every gun. Like they just keep introducing new like their version of battle passes, and then like just making the older guns irrelevant, and then making the new guns stronger, up until they want to release a new one, and then they instantly just nerf it again, and it's just like never ending. So I feel like the developers have also been going down too, bringing their product down a little bit.
yeah, so
But
essentially what I was getting at is that with Helldivers 2, like its reputation as a whole has been steadily declining with the way that the developers have been, choosing to balance out this PvE game that, it's always being brought up by a large quantity of the player base. What would be the large quantity of the player base now? Because according to PC Mag, Helldivers 2 has been pulled from Steam in 170 countries because in those 170 countries, they don't offer access to the PlayStation Network.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so further on, PC Mag says that linking is necessary to help developer Arrowhead Game Studio and Sony crack down on bad actors in the online game, they said. So
Mhm.
maybe like hackers. And so just to, put a pin on it and then let James say something. Sorry, James. Is that the announcement has led to the game being pulled from Steam store in countries where PSN is not an option, as mentioned already. And so it is now only available in 90 countries, whereas before it was beyond 170, with the addition.
Jeez. I don't know. I had no idea that many countries were like, you couldn't get a PSN account. That's wild to me.
Yeah.
And I coming from, okay, I'm a student, preface this, but as far as I know, attaching a PSN account adds zero security at all. I think that's just a BS cover up to get some heat off of them, I think, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see any logical reason to do so, although this has never been like a one-off thing with game studios doing this. Like with all the Microsoft games such as Sea of Thieves, the Halo series, you often would have to be relegated to signing up for Microsoft or signing into your Microsoft account. And that is like a sort of a normal thing to do because Microsoft and PC is like hand in hand, and PlayStation doing this kind of isn't. Not to mention that the game has been released for a while now. It's like a mainstay in the current game sphere, whatever you want to call it, like the flavor of the month or whatever. And like it doesn't have that like brand new shoe shine anymore. Yet like the whole account linking thing was not there from the beginning, and a lot of the matchmaking, and people were saying that are saying that it was due to the like server issues, which I believe is something that also IGN mentioned or maybe also PC Mag. I know I was watching like Moist Critical or Penguin Zero,
Like
whatever,
yeah.
and then so he also said something about similar to that, which is the fact that the game was so riddled with like server maintenance bugs and shit like that due to the amount of people buying the game that they couldn't really implement that. But now that there's some form of stability, that they're finally plugging in the cord, and unfortunately at the same time unplugging it for a lot of other people.
Who knows
Yeah.
how they're doing it?
Yeah, see, I like, you know how you were saying, like, I feel like what differentiates, this happening to, like you said, Halo and all this other games having it, is that those games had it from the very beginning. And since this is like all of a sudden introducing this, it's like alienating the fan base. And like, dude, taking it away from that many countries is like kind of unreal.
It is
I don't know if
wild.
I don't think we've ever seen like a game do that, like after the game was already released. And like, it's been a good few months now since the game first came out.
I think it's been
Uh,
6 months, 7 months, something like that.
yeah, and like I can't think of their name, but the developers of Helldivers were like, oh, you know, if you don't have access to a Sony account, you're still gonna be able to play the game. And then Sony was like, actually, nah, and they just pulled the game from all those countries, so then no one has access to it. And it's honestly just it's so crazy to see, and I feel like
Eh.
this also goes with what we were saying about earlier about games being preserved. 'Cause at any moment, a game can be taken away from you, and I feel like that's something that shouldn't even be a thing. Because if we pay for, the rights to play the game, that shouldn't be able to like just be stripped away from us.
Yeah.
We're not renting the game; like we bought it. So if people can't play it, it makes no sense.
Yeah, it definitely calls back to an earlier episode or two where we talked about player ownership of these online games and DRM, and
Yeah.
whether or not you really own these games. Because it seems for the most part, to my knowledge, that you just own the license to play it, which
Yeah.
sucks.
It's that way through Steam too. Like you don't own your Steam games, you're just licensed to use them.
Yeah, no, I see. That's not cool with me. It's
No.
but I don't know if Helldivers 2 was available like physically, like ever, but
No, it's digital only as far as I know.
Oh.
Oh no, wait, you can buy it for consoles, can't you?
yeah. So to me, it'll be funny if some dude in Yugoslavia that bought the game physically, and then all of a sudden it's fuck.
Can't play.
Yeah, it's a time to fire up those VPNs, baby.
I was gonna say because I have it on console because I have a PS5, but I have a digital edition, so so I just have the game digitally. So I don't know how that would be. I don't know if they even made physical copies of that game.
No, probably not. Maybe.
As far as I know, no. But I don't know.
But yeah, PC Mag said that Valve has reportedly made the decision to offer refunds to customers in affected regions, even if they played the game for a substantial period of time. Traditionally, the company only offers refunds for games that have been played for 2 hours or less.
Yeah.
As of May 1st, the game was Arrowhead's best-selling premium game of 2024 so far, and it was Sony's 7th highest revenue game ever in games in terms of lifetime sales.
Oh
With-
my god.
With it only being launched like 2 months ago.
They have murdered that golden goose. They've strangled it.
Yeah, man. Like I said, either in conversation or on the podcast, like
Mhm.
it's like Helldivers 2, like how to kill off your successful game, any percent speedrun type shit.
Yeah. Oh, my heart's broken. What a good game though. Fuck.
All right, James.
You said it was $40, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
$40 game. It costs $70 these days, right?
Unfortunately, yeah.
I don't agree with it. In my mind, it's always going to be $60 for a premium game. They cannot change my perspective on pricing.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that it's such a good thing for games to be so expensive. I think it prices out a lot of people, and it also makes sense for a lot of games to be sold at like reasonably lower prices, just for them to be live service because they could accrue more money over time that way. But when it comes to like single player games, being $70 is still insane, as we all grew up in a time where games were either like 50 or 60, which was like the standard. But for a normal game being 70 was insane. It's insane now. Maybe it's due to inflation, maybe it's due to development costs, or it's maybe just companies trying to push the line in the sand further and further away, or closer to us, but however that analogy would go, and see how far they could stiff us for our change. Especially if the game isn't even that good. It's the whole thing, man.
I know
Yeah.
games being $70 now makes me not want to take the risk on, an unknown title. And,
Mhm.
before you would just go through the shop and be like, that game looks cool. Let me try it out. But now with games being $70, I'm like less inclined to want to try new things. I'm just, let me
Yeah.
stick to the franchises and the kind of games that I know I'm going to, versus being experimental with what I want to do and, what I want to choose to spend my time with and money. Because $70, goddamn, like we're getting dangerously close to $100 for a game.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, we're only $30 off. That's scary. And the fact that deluxe editions now, not even collector's editions, which is above that, but deluxe editions are already like over $100 at 110, 120. Nah, like how is that even a thing?
Especially like Star
Before,
Wars Outlaws.
exactly. Like before it was base games were like $60, $59.99, and then the deluxe edition was like $80, which is $79.99. And then now everything is just going up and it just makes no sense.
I wonder if these increased prices make people not want to buy the games. And so, like, the studios don't want to take the risk and make new IPs because no one will buy them because no one wants to spend $70. I'm sure that has to do with in my eyes, like limited creativity we have these days.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, it's funny you say that because, that's probably why Treyarch and the Call of Duty studios, man, it must suck being working there because all you make is COD. Like, all they do is make Call of Duty year in, year out. And it's like
Yeah.
the safe thing. I would rather see others, because now I feel like now it's kind of like the dawn or the new age for indie developers.
100%. Yeah.
I think the Triple-I initiative,
Triple I,
because it's indie.
Triple A. Oh, I see.
Yeah, where like these games like Stardew Valley, which started off as Kickstarters, and these other games, which are way more accessible, I think are gonna be played by a lot more people. And it kind of mirrors that. On the other side of the coin, you have these $70 games that are gonna have less and less people play them, especially if they can't be bothered to do. Or even on top of that, if it's a $70 game and it's live service.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We're in the era of indie games going off.
Yeah.
More than triple A's. I don't know. Have we had a really big triple A game that like fucking exploded like these indie games have? Can't think of the last time that happened.
I was gonna say I can't think of the last game that did that.
No Man's Sky was really hype, and then that was a letdown. Yeah, I have heard that it's actually really good.
Yeah,
I haven't played it for a few years.
Definitely undercooked. Man, see, to me, the most notable game that came out that was $60, that was made by a smaller studio at the time, was CD Projekt Red, which was The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
I remember that being such an insane game because the previous two Witcher games were like they existed, but they had no real, like they weren't in the headspace of a lot of like people that had a mainstay in the gaming culture or whatnot. And then The Witcher 3 came out and it was so good that it won Game of the Year that year against the second biggest, or the other game that came out, which was Fallout 4. Coming fresh, or not fresh, but coming from New Vegas to 4. That kind of hype is insane, especially with the kind of a repertoire that New Vegas developed. Getting 4 was like the next step, and oh my god, this is insane. And then Witcher 3 like really blew it out the water. I have a Lethal Company, but that game, it was fun, but it was definitely a flavor of the week type deal.
I still play that. I love that game.
Yeah.
It's so fucking good.
I haven't tried that game yet.
Do you
really?
Do you believe that it is like it has been so like it's been so popular and so good that it's changed any aspects of the gaming industry?
No.
Yeah, because I know after The Witcher 3, a ton of other games started releasing that were that either got turned into like sandboxes, like Assassin's Creed, and other games after The Witcher that were heavily like you could definitely see the inspiration from that game. Maybe Five Nights at Freddy's, I think. And I think maybe 2020's like Among Us would probably be
Among Us. I think has had a lasting impact. That's like a super huge game, even still.
And the development cost for the game was like I feel was probably like a lot less expensive, and I believe the game itself, like purchasing it, It's like it's just like pocket change.
I think it's free on computer.
Oh, okay. This is where I, you could Among Us, and then you see like fucking Lawbreakers or
Right, it's $5. I lied.
yeah, or like Redfall, Anthem, all these AAA flops. Oh, and then especially like the king of all flops, the quadruple A Skull and Bones.
I heard that it was not great.
No, yeah, that game's epic, dude. Everyone wanted Assassin. It's basically Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, but like just the ship, like pirating part of it. Like you used like ship combat, but it's if I served you a burger, and then I cut a big ass hole in the middle of it, so like it looked like I just gave you a ribbon that was attached to the other end, and that was your burger. Like all
Wow.
like yeah, like they gutted it completely. They locked everything behind paywalls. That game like was super unfinished, terrible frame rates. It ran like total dog ass.
Yeah, if you gave me a burger with a hole in it, I wouldn't know what to think.
Yeah,
I know
donut.
what I would think, and it would not be good.
Dude, for real, you'd probably be like, yo, let me talk to the manager, bro. Give me the owner. Fuck this place.
Oh, hold on, no one thinking this?
Bang a burger.
Seriously. Like they gave you like a fleshlight burger or some shit like that. And then, that same thing could be applied to these like games that are releasing that are $70. Yeah, like here's like, for example, Suicide Squad, right? That one we talked about. The
Weren't
game
you playing that game for a bit?
I was, yeah, because I gave into like peer pressure from my IRL homies. I'm never doing that again, bro.
Yeah.
Like I've never like the way I see games now is if it's a game, especially if it's $70, you know what I do? Is I ask myself, will I play this game or would I play this game for 20 hours straight by myself? And if I say no to that, I don't buy it. Yes, or if it's like DLC, like that I would buy, or like a cosmetic skin. Like if I'm not willing to spend like 20 hours looking at that skin, like for like straight, like for 20 hours, I'm not buying it. Cause it's just like everything is so expensive, and it's for like especially with Suicide Squad
delivered.
Yeah, and with Suicide Squad basically being like the DC like brouhaha hot topic version of like Marvel's Avengers, which was a game developed by Square Enix, which also got killed off. And the support for that game is dead. And the servers.
I like the game.
See, I thought it was cool, right? I thought it was cool.
It got a lot of hate, but I actually liked it for what it was.
Yeah.
There was some aspects I didn't like, obviously, but like it was not as bad as everyone said.
Yeah,
I had a lot of
firmly, I will agree with you on that point, Asika, that I believe Marvel's Avengers was still a better game than that is a better game than Suicide Squad. The roster was a lot bigger. You had a choice of many different costumes. You were able to grind this game and play with friends, and the story was okay. Like it was like forgettable, but I think like with the World War Hulk and the DLCs that came after that, where you were able to play as Hawkeye and Black Panther, was cool. There was also like all the stuff that they're doing with Suicide Squad regarding like the later seasons and how that plays into the story of that game, where you kill off Brainiac after you kill off the Justice League, and it's revealed that there's actually like a ton of other Brainiacs you have to kill to fully kill Brainiac.
Spoilers. And I was just about to get to the end too. Oh my god.
Yeah, of course, because you totally bought that scam of a game. And but wait, you could only kill him, like you could only kill this version of Brainiac every season. So like you kill this Brainiac, which is like a season event, and then you have to wait until the next season to kill the next Brainiac, and then the next season to kill the next Brainiac. And it's just, dude, what the fuck? Like it was such a, and then the narrative is so bad in that game. What is it? Coming back to the topic of whether like about $70 games, I think it's definitely a dangerous precedent that could lead to companies later on justifying like $80 base editions.
Oh, 100. Yeah, it's gonna keep going. Yeah.
With that being said, fuck. Nope. I'm not doing it. Let me see. What's
the next one? Manor Lords?
That mean?
Yeah, that's you.
Right.
You're leading the way on that.
That's right. I am doing that, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see how much that is. Let me go price check this so I can talk about it real quick. I get it included with my. Do either of you do Game Pass?
No,
my main console is my Xbox Series X. So.
I love Game Pass, and you can use it. I don't know how PlayStation is
Oh no,
staying
it's
afloat.
total shit. It's like PlayStation like now, but not, it's like extra or plus.
Yeah, you got it's like tiers.
Yeah.
But like you can't use it on your computer like you can with like Game Pass. Game Pass, if you like have an Xbox computer, you're like you have tons of games.
Yeah, I have access to my Game Pass right here.
Man Lords is on there. Can recommend. Continuing that we talked about earlier, the indie trend, like outdoing in terms of quality, like these AAA games. I get that. I think it was like one dude coming out with Manor Lords, and it's like 30,000 reviews on Steam right now. It like day one release on Xbox Game Pass. It is beautiful and it is very fun. It's like a real-time strategy city builder. Like you can take control of your medieval king. So you can take control of your medieval king and walk around these villages that you like built up in the city planner. It is really fun. Oh, it's so good.
Okay.
Ask you some questions. I'll answer. AMA, I'm here for it.
So can you divulge to us and the listeners what kind of game this is and what are the mechanics? Where does it take place?
So it's a city builder. It's a real-time. You build your medieval town. You gather resources. You can do ironworks to build up an army. And then you have different types of campaigns. So you have like a peaceful one where you just build up a city big. You have one where there's territories that you can claim, and there's an AI dude also claiming territories, and you have to go to war with him to fight over your land and stuff. There's like bandits. So there's combat, there's city building, there's walking around and just appreciating your work. Everybody has a name. It's real specific. You can look inside of some buildings and stuff while you're walking around. Oh, it feels alive. If that makes sense. Like everything has like its place and it's all working together, and it's really pretty, and everybody's walking around and talking, and you can be like a part of it. I don't really know how to explain that in a great way, but
okay.
Have you guys ever played?
If you look at the screenshots, you'll see what I'm talking about. There's like a bunch of them of people like walking around their cities and stuff.
Okay.
You guys ever played the Jurassic World game?
Yeah.
Is that what
Yeah.
is that what it's like? That's like the vibe it looks like.
Would another example be like Skylines?
Have you guys ever played the Jurassic World game where you're setting up like an environment for the dinosaurs?
Oh, the park manager game?
Yeah, that game. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. So is it similar to that? Because I was looking at
It's like
pictures of
the
game.
same exact
looked like
vibe
it.
as that.
Oh, okay.
You can like the free reign of you can like take control of helicopters and jeeps and going around. It's exactly like that, except you're just like a single guy walking around because it's medieval period.
Oh, okay. That sounds interesting. Yeah, because I was like, I swear, I was looking at the images on Steam, and I was like, yo, I swear, this reminds me of the Jurassic World like build your park games.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. Yeah.
It's like
Oh,
medieval roller coaster tycoon, bro. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Except all the roller coasters end and like your whole town's starving to death or something.
That's insane. It sounds
Real.
Yeah, according to IGN, when like before the game's release, the developer, I believe, is called Hooded Horse, and of course,
right.
and the CEO being Tim Bender said that it doesn't want Manor Lords players worried about what the price will be, as the post explains that it's never done AAA pricing on a game and has no plans to start. Furthermore, Bender reminds that in the past it has offered launch discounts that range from 10 to 25% for the first few weeks.
Chad.
And they quoted the CEO himself saying, "We're not trying to squeeze every dollar out of people, chat-based. We won't be putting up 5 editions with a spreadsheet needed to understand them or locking up content into day one DLC or any of that crap." Bender adds, "There's going to be a fair price there at launch with a fair discount."
Love it.
And how?
Yeah, I think it's gone for like $29.99 right now. I think it's like a quarter off for release sale. Something like that.
So that would be traditionally the level of craftsmanship that this game provides feels like a $60 or $70 game, but instead you're paying how much for it? $30?
Without discount, it's $39.99.
Which is insane.
It's buggy. It is. I don't think there's been any patches yet because it's one guy. So they just had the release day patch, and then that's been it.
That's funny, but that's crazy.
It's only been out for it's been out for 8 days, so I shouldn't be complaining, but
Yeah, it makes sense. But like for the bugs, do you feel like it's a solid game for a one-man like army type deal?
oh my god, it is so good. Well, it took them 7 years to do, so like the love is there. Like you can really tell there was a lot of thought and detail in this thing. It is very good.
And let's see, hopefully with the way that it's selling, that hopefully he could, make the draw some
Off.
contracts and
Yeah.
get a studio of his own to help him create this game, or look to further maintain or develop this game, which it's great. Yeah, I've seen. I'm looking at these screenshots; they're so cool, and the kind of POV you could take. You know, there's the third person where you could, be like play God and then zoom in and out of crowds,
Yeah.
and then there's times where you could control NPCs. I think.
Totally possible. I did not know that was a thing, honestly.
I think maybe, and then you could get real close up and see the details of the town and the goings of each villager or whatnot.
And it runs really well. I am running a 3070 Super, or 2070 Super even. So like a few generations old, like zero stuttering.
That's great.
Even walking around third person with 4 armies going at it in the middle of my town. No issues whatsoever.
Okay. And would you compare this game to Civ by any chance?
No, probably not. In terms of like you have your expanding city and empire, yeah, but it's not like 1,000 years between each turn or whatever it is. And it's not, it's more city builder than it is through the ages tech upgrades.
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah, because when I first see this, it looks like definitely, because with the war, with the PV, is it PvP as well or no?
I think it's single player only.
Okay, with the PvE aspects, it definitely reminds me of Civ in that sense.
Yeah, that's fair. You do get rewards for tracking down camps and bandits and like taking them out. So yeah, that is similar.
Dope. Yeah. So it definitely gives off like RTS vibes, such as like StarCraft and Civ and things like that. But I'm glad it's like this game has developed its own niche, and really cool for the guy who for pricing the game the way it does, with Man and Lords being $30 and being for the most part a solid game, a game that came out before, especially with May the 4th already past us. You have Star Wars Battlefront, the Classic Collection, having its actual update 2 now, which is quite extensive because I played it, I've pre-ordered it, and man, it was just a load of horseshit. Definitely. I refunded it. I was talking to some guy on PlayStation, and because I'm part of the PlayStation Stars thing, which you're able to sign up on PS Mobile, they see that I'm a level 5 member or whatever the highest tier of that. And so the guy greeted me, yo, my man, what's going on, bro? And I was just, he didn't, not verbatim, right? He didn't say that. And then I told him, I was like, bro, this game is total like sewage shit. I need to refund this game. And I told him, I was like, bro, like straight up, like I will buy like V-Bucks with this. Like I will buy something else with this money from the PlayStation Store afterwards. Like this game is terrible. Like it's glitchy. It doesn't run, terrible connection issues. I felt like lied to with the trailers and everything it promised from the promotional material. Could I please get my money back? And and then they were like, you know what, man? Because you're level 5 and you're the homie, here you go, bro. That's I was just like, yes. But yeah, according to IGN here, the Classic Collection is $35. Just insane. And it's also currently sitting at a mostly negative rating on Steam, with just 20% of the reviews being positive.
So not overwhelmingly negative anymore. Gotcha. I think that's what it hit for, right?
Yeah. So on all platforms, it fixed issues with no audio or visual feedback when pressing refresh in server list. Actually, I could read all these, but man, the list is extensive, dude. It is a long list. Things that it fixed on let's see, on Steam is that it caused the Xbox button prompts to appear when playing with the PlayStation controller, which is hilarious. It fixed the occasional crash that would occur on the faction selection screen and split screen in Galactic Conquest and Versus mode. Let's see, they would get stuck on waiting for player screen after joining a multiplayer game with active players. It fixed an issue where lightning flash VFX would display through the walls of Camino. The flickering lights being too high, where the tables and bar tops were extremely bright on the Mos Eisley map. And then because I don't want to read this like a fucking shopping list, it fixed an issue where gameplay would fail to start after the countdown finished in a 64-player game. It's a long list, and it's cool that Aspyr is trying to like salvage this game, and it's trying its best to really fix it. But I don't know, man. I think after first impressions always matter, and especially when it comes to like video games. If you have a shit launch, it takes a long time for your rep to be positive again.
I think it's like what we were talking about earlier: overpriced, underdelivered, and then so many games aren't patching what they need to or having it done at launch so no one believes that it's gonna come back like No Man's Sky.
Yeah, like especially with this game being what 60, 80 gigs or some shit like that. Like,
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy.
Oh my God, that's another issue. Yeah.
Literally, and it was just AI upscaled, wasn't it? Isn't that like the whole thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, how is it so much memory? Like, it's as much memory as a modern day game. Like, it makes no sense.
yeah, it's
No.
insane, bro. Some game that's RTX real time graphics. Like, so it's so crazy you could see their literal pores moving on a character.
Bro, why?
and,
Why-
and then it's fucking like sorry, it's fucking like that game is like what $70-$60, and it'll be crazy where like bro, like it's if you step on a rock, like it'll crack and you could see it in real time. And then this game looks like Mega Blocks, like straight up PSP, Wii, PS2, PS1 graphics. And it's fucking 80 gigs, 80, 60, 50 gigs. Like, what the fuck, dude? And it's the first one and the second one, dude. And these games, I think I remember the second one capable of having internet access back in the day for the PS2, but they fit in a memory card for the PS2. And then now it's, dude, like it would take a couple PS2s.
Megabyte.
Yeah. And now it takes, fucked. I feel like an old school server room where it was one big ass fat ass computer, but it'd just be like a room filled with PS2s just to run this fucking game because of the memory space, dude. It's insane.
Weird fact, but I do remember like them being on eBay. You'll sometimes see like government Xboxes and like PlayStations for sale. I forgot which one because they're like so good bang for buck that they'll just use them for like hardware, like processing and stuff. And
Oh
government-
yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
it's
Like
wild.
back in the day, they built like the U.S. government built like a giant supercomputer out of the PS3s.
Yeah.
Really? What the hell?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
This shit was so funny, bro.
That's wild.
But yeah, it's cool. And we included this, with this episode being recorded on at least we're gonna we shoot it in because of like Star Wars, May the 4th and Revenge of the 5th. But it's cool to see that this Star Wars game, oh, may the Force be with you. Like it's getting some, but it's definitely that love that you would give your child after you put them up for adoption, and it's not that kind of love you get in the very beginning. But yeah, with that being said,
Yeah.
I'm
Bro, just adding on to that real quick. I was looking at Steam right now. Bro, how was it that Battlefront 2, not the classic collection, the recent modern
EA
Battlefront
one.
2, EA one, how was that one on Steam 60 gigs and the Battlefront classic collection 50 gigs? How was that? How?
I
Like,
remember you played that game, but it's actually fucking hype. It is so good.
dude, it's so good. I love that game so much. I literally was so sad that they stopped support for that game because I love that game.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they stopped support for it like a
That's
while
so
ago.
cringe.
They
See-
did the last update, like I think last year, and that was it.
They should come out with a
Uh,
third one. Then I'd buy a third one.
See, I think they
Dude,
should just release
yeah.
all the maps from Battlefront 1, the EA Battlefront 1 onto Battlefront 2.
Yeah, I'm still really hoping they do Battlefront 3 because there's so many characters they could do. They got, we can get all the Mandalorians in there, all the Star Wars Rebels characters, the Bad Batch characters, Clone Wars characters. You have so much potential. It's like they have so much they could do, and they're just not capitalizing on it.
Especially
And it can be so much money.
that is so true, and especially if they remove all the fan fiction that like Disney wrote.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with those 3 fan made movies that were terrible. I feel like that could all fit within.
Oh,
You know,
you mean the best ones that have ever come out in the Star Wars universe? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the Hook trilogy.
The 3 fan What? I barely hit me. I was like, what are you talking about?
No, yeah, I'm talking about like Skywalker was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just crazy. But like with Star Wars Battlefront and getting an update, another game that could be considered a classic now, or maybe in 2 or 3 years, also got a recent update, and that was Fallout 4. Because Fallout 4's next gen update being not only was over 14 gigs, but also broke a ton of modded saves, and it didn't seem to change much of anything. Some of the issues that caused were with loading modded saves using non-creation club mods at all included the essential Fallout 4 script extender, which is a necessity to have to play mods in general. The next generational patch does not introduce any graphical improvements. The new ultrawide support has poorly stretched user interface that will require a user-made patch. Hilarious. Basically the same solution ultrawide gamers were using before the update. Fallout 4's iteration of the creation engine still doesn't support frame rates over 60 frames per second, and the weapon debris graphics setting still causes the game to crash on RTX cards, an issue that has been present since RTX cards were introduced.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Aren't they locked to 60 frames because the physics engine is based on frame rate? I think it was that way for Skyrim.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then isn't it also these updates had issues coming out on PlayStation? I don't know if PlayStation got it now, but I know that they got it really delayed. And they had to even, I think, pay for the update. There was like people talking about that. I have no idea what's going on with that.
Yeah, so I think it's just, I don't know. Every time we talk about Bethesda, bro, it's like, it's hilarious. It's always
They're a
long.
mess, bro.
Yeah, they're goated.
They really are.
Yeah,
Like they're goated, but they have, I don't know, bro. I don't know if it's too much on their plate or what, but they like are so contradictory to themselves.
I hate Todd Howard, bro. He's, you know what, you know what, guys? I think the creation engine, it's got another one in it, bro. It's like not retiring yet. It's the
I'm tired, boss.
Yeah, exactly. Like, bro, please put me on a field and shoot me into the shotgun, bro. Please old yeller me, bro.
Yeah, it is about time they updated that engine. It worked out well for Skyrim because like it's like medieval because you don't need a whole lot of characters out there. It makes sense. But once you start getting into what was the space one they just did?
Starfield?
Oh,
Like you need more people. You're in the future. There's tons of people out there. Don't give me like 5 guys and that's it.
I downloaded that game on Game Pass and then never played it.
Dude,
Like,
it's not even bad. It's just so forgettably mid.
I heard everyone saying that every planet felt empty and you were just like walking around by yourself. And I was like, bro, why would I want to play that?
Yeah, I would do your fetch quest where we like visit this facility at this X planet, and I need you to cap this motherfucker, and then I need you to get
9 missions.
and I need you to get back on your ship, and I need you to I need you to fast travel back to my planet so you could tell me in person. Cause
The future, but you still have to do face to face. Yeah, okay.
yeah, because apparently in a game where there is no like email, there's no long distance calling, but there is interplanetary or intergalaxy travel, right? Like they have that shit, but they don't have like Gmail. Like what the fuck?
They don't have any ship communications.
No, unless you're like 10 feet from them in space.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
No.
You get more range with your phone.
Yeah.
So mid. And then they release like I always like shit on Starfield, bro. But then they like a lot of the times, a lot of the things that they used are just reskinned assets from Fallout 4. Like they have weapon and armor workbenches. If you listen to your character like hitting the hammer, and the posture that it takes, it's literally just the same workbench from 76 and 4.
Save some time by reusing assets. I don't know. Something, sure. Yeah, whatever.
I mean, yeah, but okay, cool. You put a new fresh coat of paint on the thing, and then the shipbuilding is mid. There's no point to using ships because you have to fast travel everywhere. All of the planets are not procedurally generated, so they all contain the same building that you have to go in and kill someone in.
And you have to walk all planets. There are no vehicles, and it takes forever.
Yeah, you have to jump or use your jetpack over and over. And then the armor that you get in the game is like meh. It's really just that the followers aren't really that cool. They're like all right. And pulling backwards, with like Fallout 4, it definitely was a major like letdown for a lot of the people that at the time of this game's launch. Because the game that preceded, that was before Fallout 4 was New Vegas. And a lot of people, myself included, believe that Fallout New Vegas is like the magnum opus of the series. Like it's the definitive peak of the series. Like at least from a narrative RPG perspective. Because it's definitely like that game is like very dated, like extremely dated. It's janky.
It's still buggy too.
Yeah, Bethesda, being them, they don't go back and fucking patch out the games. And because it is so, it feels like a kind of that game that like, it's like the code itself is like dying. Like that's how, which is so sad to hear because a lot of the mods that are required to run it, were eventually pulled from a lot of modding sites, especially Nexus mods, due to a while back, Nexus mods trying to make modders keep their mods on the platform like forever. And so a lot of modders pulled their mods. And so a lot of those mods introduced a lot of stability for New Vegas. And it seems like a lot of modders are gonna have to do the same shit with this, because the Fallout 4 script extender doesn't work. They added ultra-wide support that sucks balls. Even PCMax stated, like, most likely that it will require a user-made patch to basically the same solution ultra-wide gamers were using before the update. So there were mods to make the game run in ultra-wide, because the developers at Bethesda didn't realize that they could make monitors like longer. It's like, what? And then it doesn't run at 60 frames. There's no graphical improvements, and it just adds more crashes. And because it is such a terrible update, there was this fan project called Fallout London that got delayed I don't know when its release date was, but they were close to completion, and then they delayed it indefinitely because the game's current state now is dog shit. I mean, to be honest, the game has always ran like ass, and it has always required mods to just update the game's stability, frame rate, and graphical issues, and like especially like glitches that could like either break your save or crash your whole system. It's crazy. But they did add to like really like neato things, like they're not called the Covenant, the Enclave, like that, like where they had a callback mission, like they added an extra mission where you could unlock Enclave armor, which is cool, I guess. So yeah, it's whatever.
I think Fallout 4 is the only Fallout I've ever played. I'm ashamed to say.
Really?
Yeah. I played Fallout Shelter.
Based.
Fallout Shelter is sick. I love Fallout
yeah,
Shelter. I go back to it once in a while.
I have it on my computer. But yeah, man, like if you truly want what some of the older fans of the game would say, of the series, is that you're better off playing like 2, 3, and New Vegas.
I have the New Vegas like Game of the Year edition with all the DLCs installed, and I have not launched it yet.
See,
and I've had it for a year.
Once you start it, bro, it's gonna be hard to stop.
Oh God, dude, like you could the thing about New Vegas is, especially if you're playing on PC, right? If you mod it, like it runs well. They add weapon wheels, which doesn't exist in New Vegas. Crazy. You could, and it will. But besides the user-made improvements to the game itself offers a wide range of options to dispatch your enemies. Sometimes you don't even have to fight people. You can just talk to them, which is crazy.
Yeah, you could talk it out. That's so cool.
Yeah, and then if your character, if your intelligence, like, because there's a special. The Fallout is known for having this thing called special, which is strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck.
That's just stats, right?
Yeah, and so if you were to have your intelligence all the way down to like dumbass, which is 1, you like in Fallout 2, just a quick callback to that game, in Fallout 2, you were able to say, like, you were speaking like legitimately like cavemen. You'd be like, I'm a living. And then the guys would be like, dope, bro. I guess I just won't I won't mass murder these group of people then. You're just that guy, bro. You're funny. But like, that's a thing in Fallout 2. And then in 3, you could literally talk it out with everybody. And then in Fallout 4, they're like, it's either you're shoehorned into one of 4 factions for the most part, and you have to kill everyone else. You play as the Institute, and then you kill off the Railroad, maybe the Minutemen, and then the Brotherhood of Steel. You play as the Railroad, which is like the worst thing.
I was gonna say, I feel like the Railroad had
like
no definitive ending. It just ended, and you're like, oh, that's it.
Yeah, because with the Railroad, you kill the Institute, Brotherhood, and the Minutemen eventually. Because here's a little fun. Well, you probably know, James, but the Railroad are a bunch of like synths, or like in Blade Runner terms, replicants, and they're like this group of people that feel oppressed because the Institute, who makes these people, uses them for like labor. So what their plan is to blow up the Institute. So that place that made more of their kind, they want to blow up. So and like in a couple of years, if these people are able to age at all, like they're all gonna die out. So you left a massive hole. In 100 years, you're gonna leave a massive hole of authority in the Commonwealth in Boston, which is stupid.
This is 4?
This is 4, yeah. So it's hilarious. It's a bunch of synthetic toaster people, like killing all the real prospect for like stability, all because in the name of we feel oppressed.
Wow.
Yeah, that legitimately you can only kill the other faction for the most part, unless you're like the Minutemen and the Institute or some shit like that. Yeah. So yeah, Fallout 4's next gen update. Man, what are these companies doing, bro? But moving on from video games, we could talk about what the studio did. They made this movie so great, which is The Fall Guy. Esteban, take it away.
So the Fall Guy. Okay, me and Nicholas, we both just saw this movie. James hasn't
Not
yet.
yet. I know.
Yeah, so we're not gonna talk spoilers. But dude, this movie was so good. Honestly, I've been to the movies a good amount this year, and so far, this is my favorite movie of the year. It's just fun from top to bottom. It really is. You'll hear people describe it as like a love letter to stuntsmen and to filmmaking, and that's exactly what it is. Like me personally, I'm trying to pursue a career in film, and it's just, oh my god, this film is beautiful. It's just, I really hope that it gets the attention that it's trying to get, because it's trying to basically get award attention, like from like the Grammys and like that kind of thing for stunts people, because there's no awards for stunts people, there's no recognition for them. So that's basically what
Really?
this film is trying to, yeah. So this is what this
I
film
didn't
is
know
trying
that.
to do. But unfortunately, it hasn't been doing the best in the box office. It's been doing good, but it hasn't been doing what everyone originally thought it was going to be doing. And that's, I feel, partly because of marketing. You haven't really seen that much marketing for this movie aside from the trailer being played at the movies when you go. But I highly recommend this movie to anyone. I've been trying to get anyone to go watch this movie. It's so good. What do you think, Nicholas?
You caught me mid sip of water. The Fall Guy was an exceptional movie. I would give it almost a 10 out of 10. But just so people don't think I'm a loser, I'm gonna give it a 9.5. It's a 9. It's so good. Like it's genuinely like a great movie. They definitely do some things that one would consider. What is that thing that Deadpool does?
Break
Ryan
the fourth wall?
Reynolds.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds. Exactly. He does Ryan Reynolds. But yeah, but he breaks they break the fourth wall, but not really. It's almost like a 3/4 wall. I don't know if that's appropriate to say, but because they mention and there was one scene where they talk about the way they used to do action movies, and then they employ that same level of camera work in the movie itself. And it's really cool to see how they do that. And then it was really cool seeing how much of the stunt work was involved. And then the movie opens up with the director and Ryan Gosling sitting there telling you guys like how much it meant to them, to make this movie and its purpose. I believe that
Oh yeah, I love that.
the pacing in the movie was great. I think Ryan Gosling, literally me, as always. I already downloaded that personality, so I'm excited to use it. But once again, stellar guy, banger of an actor. It's a shame that he's not heralded in the same regard as like Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans because of their roles in Marvel. But Ryan Gosling is just the guy. Like, yeah, the next Black Panther, hopefully. But in a time where the age of the movie star has faded, and Tom Cruise is still around making movies, but I definitely believe that someone that came in right as the age of the movie star was fading. I think Ryan Gosling is definitely one to make the case that it's still around. That movie star power is still around. Deadline said that it was projected to do at least 30 million in the box office, and it's coming in at 28.5 million, which is a shame. This is the range for original action comedies, even when they star Ryan Gosling. They quoted this other site called Post Trek, and then they said on Deadline, Post Trek exits report he's 50% of the reason why people went to see the movie, versus 35% for Emily Blunt. It took in 25.4 million from offshore marketings, raising its foreign gross to 36.9 million, and globally to 65.4 million. It seems like it's crazy. And Deadline then also reports that the opening for Fall Guy is actually on the higher end of Gosling starts, ranked third after Anomaly Barbie, with 162 million and Blade Runner 32.7 million. Yet further down on Blunt's, its 9th best opening of her career stateside, short of Edge of Tomorrow, goated movie by the way, 28.7 million. And Jungle Cruise, 35 million with an asterisk. It did have a theatrical day and date PVOD on Disney Plus. So it's crazy to see that although I wish that people would line up this movie's pockets a little bit more, but it's still a great.
Yeah, honestly, I'm considering seeing it again.
I
Like,
saw
me and my girl were just talking about that. She was like, I want to see that again. I'm like, you know what? I'm down.
I would like to see this again as well. When the first Dune came out, I thought it was so good, dude, that I took other people to see that movie. Like I even paid for their tickets, like IMAX, because I
I
saw.
still need to watch Dune.
Oh yeah, but
You haven't seen Dune?
yeah,
I haven't seen either.
Oh, they're so good.
yeah. So I definitely understand the sentiment as I shared it with the first Dune movie as well. It's great to see, but but James, anything that seems striking to you regarding this movie?
I haven't seen them.
Of course. But and then Esteban, any last thoughts?
Just like I said, earlier, highly recommend this movie to anyone. Love Ryan Gosling.
So it's
Nicholas loves Ryan Gosling.
I'll watch it on your recommendation.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's so good. It's so worth it. It just from top to bottom wasn't slow at any parts. It was so good. Visually outstanding. Oh my God. I know you're really into film, James. You're trying to pursue a career in film too, right?
I'm doing it as a hobby right now.
Okay. So, dude, just from, like you're taking like an editing class or whatever, just from that, bro, from that perspective, trust me, just watch it. There's
Alright,
so many
I'll keep
things
that
that
in
it
mind.
does. There's so many things that it does from an editor's perspective that are so interesting. Because I started out, like, I'm majority an editor. So there's things that this movie does that I'm like, I'm going to do this in my future films. There's just stuff that I want to do because it just looks visually amazing.
nice.
Wow, that is
nice.
very high praise. Holy shit.
Quick sidetrack so you could stop the thing. Did you see what I posted in the chat, Nicholas?
Yeah, your mom cutting zacate.
No, not that. Bro, the thing after. I just posted a picture.
No way.
What timing, dude?
Literally mid-podcast, they just posted it. Like PlayStation.
Goated timing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's official. It's official. Other news
Thank
sources
God.
are...
Okay, and here we talked about, which is crazy. We're recording this on May 5th, or some might say, but because of Star Wars, right, Esteban? Wink, yeah.
Yeah, goated.
And
Best Star Wars movie? Don't at me.
shut up, dude. You're funny. And then, but like we talked about Helldivers 2, and they just tweeted this at exactly 9 p.m. saying that they were not going to move forward with the PlayStation linking update. So this is insane. I would call this a W in general, but it's also hilarious. So it's like nothing happened. But at the same time, it sucks because now all the people that got their games refunded have to pay to keep for it again. So there's that.
No, for real. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. That's what's up, man.
But yeah, that's like the first ever like breaking news kind of thing that happened during our podcast. It's crazy.
That's pretty hype, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because my brother texted me and I was like, what did he text me? And it was a link to that. I was like, what the hell? I have to like double check if it was real.
Insane.
All right. So as we move on, as we continue with talking about movies, one thing that came out recently was the re-release of all the Spider-Man movies, the Tobey Maguire movies. And what we wanted to talk about was how successful that was. So like I was actually looking into it, and I found an article from Collider that talked about how much money the movies have made so far. So the Spider-Man movies so far have grossed over 9 billion globally, so that's collected with all the things. And then in the re-releases made about like 3 million or a little over 3 million, which is crazy. Like it's like movies that are on Disney Plus, they're on streaming services, they're on DVDs. You could watch it pretty much anywhere, any of the Spider-Man movies. Like to be released in theaters with $5 tickets to make over $3 million is actually crazy. And it's really interesting to see because it's like we grew up on these movies, but a lot of people didn't watch these movies in theaters. Like I personally, I don't remember watching Spider-Man 1 in theaters or 2, but I have a vivid memory of watching Spider-Man 3 in theaters. So going to see Spider-Man at 3 as an adult and seeing it was just like, it was next level because I felt like I was a kid all over again.
Did it hold up?
It did. Dude, all the theater experiences that I've had with these re-releases have been amazing. Like, it's just the crowds are so alive. Like, they love Spider-Man. It's like the hardcore kind of fans. But it's like people genuinely enjoying the movie, obviously acknowledging the memes and that kind of thing. But it's like just enjoying it for what it is. And it's like, man, I'm just loving these re-releases. And I love that movies are doing that now. They're re-releasing movies like Alien. They just re-released The Phantom Menace right before May the 4th, and it was like the anniversary of The Phantom Menace. And that movie had the second biggest re-release opening of all time. Just,
Yeah.
dude, making over 8 million on the first day. That's crazy.
That
Like,
re-release put it back into
yeah,
the top most profitable movies ever made.
exactly. It's such a, I don't know, man. I was, I know the Spider-Man movies fall under Marvel, but like I was just talking to one of my friends earlier, and I was like, it feels, for so long, Marvel, the MCU primarily, was in control of the box office. And that was all you were seeing was just Marvel movies in the theaters. But like now we're seeing all these original movies, and we're seeing all these older movies. And it's just the theater scene is like thriving right now. And it's just, you feel like movies are back. And it's so nice to see. And there's a Marvel movie, there's an MCU movie coming up, Deadpool and Wolverine. But that's the only MCU movie this year. And honestly, I'm fine with that. It's nice to have a small break from that, from all the overwhelming content. Like I said, I'm a big comic book guy, MCU fan, all that. But it's nice to get like a little bit of a breather because we've been like having all this content kind of thrown at us, and it's hard to keep up with everything. So it's nice to get a little break and to let the movie breathe and to let the movie theater experience back to life without them. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I believe that it's great to see these Marvel movies taking a break from being released like factory shovelware like every year. It's a great thing to see how good the Spider-Man movies are. And I think it's very reflective of people's expectations with Marvel movies in comparison to what they've been releasing in recent memory. But yeah, things like Eternals. Shang-Chi was cool, but it was like still at the beginning of the end. So a lot of people did like it. You had, man, I don't know. I don't see the thing that's a lot of the newer Marvel movies. I don't even remember. I know Get to the most notable Marvel, the Marvel movie that I did enjoy watching was Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And
Yeah, that movie fucked me up.
yeah, it was great, man. And I'm happy they're actually taking a step back and just releasing one movie where that way people can just digest it. Like I think it's like I see Scorsese said that Marvel movies or hero movies in general are like for kiddos or like it's like children's stuff. No, they're like roller coasters, right? And just like roller coasters, you wouldn't go to the amusement park like every day. And I feel like that would be applied to a new Marvel movie like every other month or some shit like that. And, according to IGN, they reported that Spider-Man 2, as of their article being updated on April 3rd, 2024, that it grossed over $805,000 from 467 locations at the domestic box office on Monday, making for an impressive per theater average of around $1,700. So that's crazy because it puts Spider-Man 2 above a lot of the newer releases and it comes in it's almost competing for the top box office for like brand new movies, such as IGN's reporting of like Civil War making 925,000, Radio Silence coming in number 3 with 742, followed by Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, and The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. That makes Spider-Man 2 number 2 in the box office, which is crazy. And that movie from 2004 is able to put up those kinds of numbers, bro. That's like putting Jordan back in the NBA. Like, I guess if that analogy were to like work, and him still being able to put up like insane numbers like how he used to back in his prime, it's just insane. I had a really good solid time watching that trilogy in theaters. Although I could definitely do, even though iconic for the film, I still believe that they could have, left out the Dark Peter or what is it called? The Bully Maguire scenes.
Yeah. But they're so
Bro,
memeable, though.
okay, because I saw it in theaters twice, Spider-Man 3, because I went with my girl and then I went with some of my homies. And literally both times the audience was just cheering and clapping as soon as he started dancing.
Yeah. But they probably were because oh look, they're doing the thing rather than wow, this is so riveting.
What do you mean that's cinema?
Oh, you're right.
Like,
It's peak. I'm sorry.
you gotta respect the peak.
Yeah. But yeah, Spider-Man 2, man. That's great to see. But Esteban, you mentioned another movie, right?
I did. It's funny because we were talking about MCU movies. The only MCU movie coming out this year, Deadpool Wolverine, just had a trailer come out and it had just a bunch of things, a bunch of speculation on it. And being the end of the Fox universe. And like recently, it was the director, I believe, who said that this movie it's gonna be an easy watch. It's gonna be something that you don't need prior knowledge of the MCU.
I'm very excited for that since I know
Yeah.
like nothing about anything.
Yeah, the movie's just built for entertainment. I would say, first of all, that's it. That's what you want from a movie. It's like something that's just easy to watch and understand. Obviously, this movie is going to have a lot of references and a lot of history with the Fox universe, so we're probably going to see a lot of cameos from that and all that kind of thing. But it's cool that people are going to be able to watch it and it's just going to explain everything to us. Like, it's going to be like, okay, this is what's happening. It's talking about the TVA. It deals with the TVA. It's going to probably explain who they are to like the modern, like the non-dedicated fan base, like the average moviegoer, kind of explain who they are and make it easier for people to digest and understand. But I'm so excited for this movie. I'm like, again, like I said, I'm so happy that this is the only MCU movie coming out this year because I feel like this movie can carry the MCU for the year. Like it has so much writing on it. How we're going to see Deadpool in the main MCU going forward. This sets the tone for that. It's Hugh Jackman's last appearance as far as we know as Wolverine. I kind of doubt that though. I kind of feel like he's going to come out in Secret Wars. Same thing with Tobey Maguire. I feel like they're going to bring all these kind of old characters back while they can, which I'm cool with it. We're still in the multiverse saga, unfortunately, but there are some benefits to that, like characters like this coming back. I'm ready to go past the multiverse era personally, because I want to go more like street level kind of stuff. But I feel like this is like the first step in that. And yeah, I'm just really excited for the movie. What do you guys think of it?
I'm excited, especially because, like I said, I'm not an avid universe knower, so I don't really know what all's gonna be going on. I'm not even that way with Marvel, so I'm just like I can do that with Star Wars. I'm good with Star Wars, but typically I'm not like I'm the kind of guy that like goes and sits down to a movie not really knowing anything about it, and then that's the experience with no like trailer watching beforehand or anything.
For me, I definitely am looking forward to it. I can't wait to see Hugh Jackman's performance as he reprises his role as Wolverine. And it's always going to be, always a haha, funny, good time when it comes to, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. That character is definitely his to play, just like how we would say that Tony Stark is Robert RDJ. And it's cool that you say that this movie is built for entertainment, and as well as that director saying that as well, firstly, because when you watch the earlier like phase 1 like movies, it seemed like that was like their purpose before. Like they were just there to like they were shelling out bangers, and then we're gonna have this like extra credit scene as like an Easter egg kind of deal.
Yeah.
And then afterwards that like the universe took itself like very seriously, and then they really ran the bus all the way up until Endgame, and then it crashed, and it's definitely hopefully like a second coming for the MCU. But that in itself, I think, is a high bar to meet.
What's it called? I just want to, add on to it. Like, this is the first time we're seeing Hugh Jackman in the classic yellow and blue suit. I am so excited. Like, the film looks beautiful. I don't think they've spoiled anything. They are really like the trailer talks about obviously what the story is going to be about. It's essentially at the end of Deadpool 2, Deadpool goes back in history and changes a bunch of events in history. And it's basically the repercussions of that. So the TVA ends up getting him and then pulling him out of his universe. And then, so he has to basically fix all the mistakes he did. And he finds like a broken Wolverine from, I'm assuming, a different timeline, not the main Fox universe, because it's basically talking about how he failed his world. And it's like him trying to redeem himself while trying to save Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool's world. But yeah, it looks crazy. Like, it's just the suits, amazing. We see little characters reprising their roles, like some of the old like villains. We see Lady Deathstrike, we see Pyro, we see like these old school Wolverine villains. So it's gonna be really cool to see who makes a cameo in this. For sure, you can assume the OG Cyclops, Beast, at least kind of the old X-Men team. I think for sure is gonna come out in this. I don't know about the Michael Fassbenders,
First
the
class.
James McAvoys. Yeah, I don't know if they're the younger people are gonna come out. I hope so, but we'll see. And then hopefully this brings in the new era of X-Men, and we see the MCU timelines of X-Men, and maybe Deadpool will be a part of that. That'd be really cool because in some issues in the comics, he's a part of it. Obviously, Deadpool 2, they talk about the X-Force, and then he's a part of that and leading that. So that'd be cool if they brought that to the MCU. But yeah, I really hope I'm really curious to see how like the rated R factor blends into the MCU and how it sets the tone for these characters and how that's going to be different from the first Deadpool movies. And yeah, I'm just so excited for this movie.
For me, I guess this is wishful thinking, but I would like to see if they added, what is it, Quicksilver? I think it'd be really cool seeing Quicksilver again because he wasn't, I think, first class.
Oh, Evan Peters?
Yeah, Evan Peters. I think that every time people talk about like first, I think he was in first class, right? He was in one of those.
He was in okay, he was in Days of Future Past, and then he was in X-Men Apocalypse, and then I think he was also in the one after that, the Dark Phoenix. Yeah.
Okay. I think it'd be cool to see his character come back because I always remember like that one scene where he slows down time and then he has to save a bunch of people from a fire, especially the Professor Xavier's school like exploding, and he just goes and what is it? Does his
Oh, that's
speaks or
X-Men
thing?
Apocalypse.
Yeah, I think that shit is like badass as fuck. So it'd be cool seeing him making a comeback and finally be integrated into the MCU because they teased that and they basically trolled everybody with WandaVision thinking that he was going to be Quicksilver again.
Oh, true. I forgot about that. I hated that. I hated that twist.
His name was
was
like
so
like
annoying.
Poopy Pooper Face or something.
Wasn't it like something Boner? Ralph
Yeah.
Boner? Or something
Yeah.
like that?
But
Yeah, bro. Sometimes the MCU just spits in in the fans' faces. It's so annoying.
Some of the cool things in the trailer that I thought that were neat were like the 20th century logo. Yeah, drawn out because since the movies were under the 20th Century Fox, it's really cool seeing Wolverine in his suit, the classic yellow, and then of course one of the most notable set pieces in the trailer is seeing the giant Ant-Man like skeleton.
Oh yeah, the giant helmet. It's like when he's Giant Man, and they're just like that's where their hideout is. It's pretty sick.
Yeah, but other than that, it's cool. We talked about a lot of things today: video games, movies, like always. This has been the Wondrous Podcast. I'm retro_loneliness or Nicholas, and I was once again graced by.
Esteban, also known as Estacal.
James, also known as Bob Trees.
Alrighty, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Bye.